Salam and peace be upon you. My name is Muhammad Laiq Siddiqui, the father of HOLOPHASE Science. Episode 13, Foundations. Part 21, Truth is what survives tests. Truth is what survives tests. Salam and peace be upon you. Welcome to HOLOPHASE Science. Phi makes reality readable. We're moving from the silent ground to the first whispers of the public layer. If you hear me smuggling space, time, energy, matter, or dynamics as primitives here, treat it as an error. Now breathe with me. We're about to discover what truth actually is. The picture in your head. Let me ask you something. What picture of truth lives in your mind right now? Most people carry an image that goes something like this. Truth is a perfect statue hidden behind a curtain. If you could just pull the curtain aside, if you could just see reality directly, then you would possess truth. Absolute, complete, unchanging. This picture feels comforting, but it quietly breaks your life. Because it suggests truth is something you can grab without process, without discipline, without checking, without community, without ever being wrong. And when reality doesn't deliver that perfect statue, when every claim comes with uncertainty, every fact with context, you might think, well, I guess nothing is true then. That's not wisdom. That's impatience pretending to be philosophy. HOLOPHASE offers you a different picture, not a statue behind the curtain, something more alive, more honest, more useful. Truth isn't what is absolutely. Truth is what keeps matching on the repeated, rigorous comparison. Let me say it in the simplest words I know. Truth is what survives tests. The friend who keeps their word. Picture this. You have a friend who says, I'll meet you at 3 p.m. You arrive, they arrive. Exactly. Next week, same promise, same result. Month after month, same. What happens inside you? Something quiet becomes solid. You stop treating their words as decoration. You start treating their words as a reliable handle on the future. You begin to think they are trustworthy. Where did that trust come from? Not from reading their soul, not from proving some inner essence of honesty. It came from beated matching. Word, then world. Word, then world again. A pattern of survival under comparison. That's truth beginning to form in your relationship. Now imagine the opposite. A friend who says 3 p.m. but arrives at 4, then 5, then doesn't show. You don't think they are fundamentally untruthful. You think their word doesn't match their action consistently. You're not measuring their soul. You're comparing claim to reality, repeatedly, and finding inconsistency. Trust, relational truth, emerges from repeated successful comparison. This is how truth works in human life. And as we'll see, it's exactly how truth works in science. The map that doesn't lie. You're planning a trip to a village in the mountains. The map shows a road connecting two towns. You drive there. The road exists. Your cousin goes. The road exists. A stranger follows the map years later. The road still exists. The map's claim becomes true through repeated verification. But here's what's crucial. The truth isn't in the ink on the map. It's not a substance called road truth floating in the air. The truth is in the repeated matching between claim and observation. Now imagine the road is under repair, sometimes passable, sometimes closed. The map still says road exists. Is this true? It depends on when you check, on how you define exists. If you check on a day it's closed, the map seems false. If you check when it's open, the map seems true. So what do? We don't throw the map away. We add qualifications. Road exists, but check for closures. Or road exists 90% of the time. The truth becomes bounded, scoped, honest about its limits. Truth isn't a binary absolute. It's a quality of matching that survives testing across multiple comparisons under acknowledged conditions. The well that teaches patience. In many mountain villages, there's a well at the edge of town. Old timers say, this well always has water. How do they know? Morning after morning, water. Noon after noon, water. Summer heat, water. Winter cold, water. Year after year, water. The claim becomes true through generations of verification. But then comes a drought year. The well runs dry for 3 days. Does the truth vanish? No. The truth becomes, this well almost always has water. Or, this well has water except in extreme drought. The truth becomes qualified, honest, more precise. This isn't truth getting weaker. This is truth getting more accurate, more useful. Because now you know, I can rely on this well, but during drought, I should have a backup. Truth with conditions is stronger than truth pretending to be absolute. The recipe that works. Think about cooking. A recipe says, do this, then that, and you'll get bread. You follow it, you get bread. Your friend follows it, they get bread. A bakery follows it, they get bread. Soon you say, this recipe works. What are you really saying? You're saying, this claim survives comparison across repeated attempts. And notice something important. The recipe doesn't need to be perfect. Sometimes the bread is darker, sometimes softer, sometimes the crust is thicker. The claim isn't identical bread every time. The claim is bread within a reliable range. That range matters. That range is the uncertainty bound. That range is the declared scope. Truth lives inside those bounds. When a claim doesn't declare its bounds, it's lying by omission, because it's pretending it cannot fail. The practical revolution. Most people think of truth as a static property. A sentence is either true or false, timelessly. But in real life, in science, in relationships, in business, truth is dynamic. It's earned through testing. It's maintained through consistency. Think of learning to ride a bike. At first, you have an idea. If I pedal and balance, I'll move forward. You try, you fall, you adjust. If I pedal, balance, and lean slightly, I'll move forward. You try, you wobble, but move. You adjust again. After many attempts, you develop a truth about bike riding that works. Not a perfect, absolute truth. A working truth that survives repeated testing. This is how all practical truth works. A scientist doesn't declare a theory true after one experiment. A theory becomes accepted when it survives many experiments by many scientists across different conditions. Think of Newton's laws of motion. For centuries, they matched observations beautifully. They predicted how apples fall, how planets move. They were true in the sense that they survived countless tests. Then we discovered situations where they didn't match, at nearly light speed, at atomic scales. Did Newton's laws become false? Not exactly. They became limited in scope. Still incredibly useful for building bridges, launching satellites, but not universal. Truth is what stands up to comparison, what endures scrutiny, what remains reliable when tested repeatedly. This matches our holophase foundation perfectly. Phi is comparability. Truth is what survives comparison. Truth isn't prior to phi. Truth is what happens when phi is used with discipline. The firewall check. No smuggled absolutes. We must be careful here. The firewall is watching. We are not saying truth is whatever people agree on. That would collapse immediately. We are not saying truth is just a feeling. We are saying something much more disciplined. Truth emerges when claims survive licensed comparison under rigorous conditions. Three crucial words. 1. Licensed. Not all comparisons count. Wishful thinking isn't licensed. Careful measurement is. 2. Rigorous. One glance isn't enough. Repeated, careful testing is required. 3. Survives. Endures, persists, holds up. Truth isn't consensus. Truth is consensus among those who have done the hard work of rigorous, licensed comparison. This is why science has all those steps that might seem like bureaucracy. Peer review. Other experts checking your comparisons. Replication. Others repeating your comparisons. Error bars. Acknowledging the limits of your comparisons. Falsifiability. Clear ways your comparisons could fail. These aren't red tape. They're truth-making machinery. They're how we make sure our comparisons are licensed and rigorous. The three disasters of wrong truth. When people carry the wrong picture of truth, three disasters happen. Disaster 1. People confuse confidence for truth. They speak loudly. They repeat themselves. They gather followers. And they mistake volume for verification. But reality doesn't care how loud you are. Reality only cares whether your claim survives comparison. Disaster 2. People demand absolute truth, and when they can't have it, they collapse into cynicism. If we can't be 100% certain, nothing is true. That's not philosophy, that's a tantrum. HOLOPHASE replaces that with a healthier standard. Truth isn't perfection. Truth is survival under honest tests. Disaster 3. People make scope-free claims. Claims with no boundaries. Claims that cannot lose. Claims that wriggle out of every check. Those claims can live forever in a mind, but they cannot live in a firewall-certified science. Because the firewall demands the right to say, this fails. The prediction. Bounded claims endure. From this understanding comes a powerful prediction. Claims without clear scope and uncertainty bounds will eventually fail under comparison. Disciplined claims with clear boundaries will endure. Let me show you with examples. Weather prediction. Unbounded claim. I can predict tomorrow's weather perfectly. Bounded claim. I can predict tomorrow's temperature within 2 degrees with 80% confidence. The unbounded claim fails the first time the prediction is off by 0.1 degrees. The bounded claim can survive many tests because it has room for variation. Medicine. Unbounded. This herb cures all diseases. Bounded. This medicine reduces fever in 70% of patients, with these side effects in 5%. The unbounded claim collapses with the first uncured patient. The bounded claim can endure because it acknowledges reality. Relationships. Unbounded. I will always make you happy. Bounded. I will do my best to understand you and support you, knowing I'm human and will sometimes fail. The unbounded promise sets up inevitable failure. The bounded promise can build lasting trust. The pattern is clear. Precision without humility breaks. Clarity with scope endures. This isn't about being vague. It's about being honest about limits, about acknowledging where comparison might fail. In science, theories with clear domains survive. Theories that explain everything but predict nothing specific eventually collapse. In life, Absolute promises break. Human promises with understanding endure. Truth isn't about being absolutely right. It's about being reliably matchable within acknowledged constraints. The falsification. How this could be wrong. The firewall demands every claim carry a way to die. So here's how this understanding of truth could be proven false. If making unlimited, scope-free claims leads to more reliable knowledge than careful, bounded claims, then we're wrong. Concretely, if I know everything consistently works better than I know this specific thing under these conditions with this uncertainty, then we need to rethink. If absolute certainty proves more useful than calibrated confidence, then our understanding fails. But look at reality. Medicine. This prayer cures all diseases, unbounded, hasn't built modern medicine. This antibiotic works against these bacteria, bounded, has saved millions. Engineering. This bridge will stand forever, unbounded, leads to collapse. This bridge will handle this weight with this safety margin, bounded, stands for centuries. Economics. This policy creates perfect prosperity, unbounded, fails. This policy improves these specific metrics by this amount, bounded, sometimes works. The evidence is clear. Unbounded claims inspire but don't build. Bounded claims, tested repeatedly, build reliable knowledge. Here's a second falsification. If there exists a stable truth that cannot, even in principle, be connected to any chain of comparison, no tests, no checks, no cross-verification, yet it functions as public knowledge, then our definition is incomplete. Because we're saying public truth is what survives public comparison. So if public truth can exist without public comparability, then something else is doing the work. Coherence, when pieces fit together. But survival isn't enough. A broken clock is right twice a day. Truth requires something more. Coherence. Coherence means the pieces don't fight each other. Different checks produce results that fit together into one consistent picture. Think of three travelers approaching a mountain from different sides. One from the north describes steep cliffs. One from the south describes gentle slopes. One from the east describes a ridge. If these descriptions can be stitched into one consistent mountain, cliffs on one side, slopes on another, a ridge running east-west, then they're probably all describing the same reality. If they can't be stitched together, if the descriptions contradict in ways that can't be resolved, then someone isn't reading the mountain, they're reading their wish. Truth is not just survival. Truth is survival with internal harmony. That's coherence. This is why science values theories that explain many different observations with one framework. Not because simplicity is beautiful, though it often is, but because coherence is evidence of truth. When many different comparisons, different experiments, different methods, different observers, all point to the same consistent picture, truth becomes strong. Everyday truth in action. Let's see how this works in your daily life. In your bank account. Your statement says you have $1,000. You check with an ATM, $1,000. Your online banking, $1,000. Your spouse checks, $1,000. This truth isn't metaphysical. It's a system of repeated reconciliations. When the reconciliations fail, we call it fraud or error. Truth in finance is survival under audit. In medicine, a treatment helps one person once. That's anecdote. The same treatment helps many people across different hospitals with documented probabilities. That's medical truth. And notice, it's never absolute cure. It's effective within these bounds. Truth in medicine lives inside honest uncertainty. In sports, a scoreboard says your team won. One person claims it, that's opinion. Referees, cameras, spectators, the opposing team all agree. That's truth. Truth in sports is convergence under independent checks. In courts, a witness says, I saw him. One testimony isn't truth. Cross-examination, comparing timelines, comparing physical evidence. That's how truth is examined. Truth in law is what survives the pressure of comparison. The architecture of truth. Now let's connect this back to everything we've built in HOLOPHASE. Remember our foundation? The possibility of distinction. Only differences speak. Absolutes are silent. Public carriers. How differences become shareable. Objectivity. Shared comparability. Now we add truth. What survives shared comparison. The architecture is clear. Phi makes comparison possible. Licensing determines which comparisons count. Rigorous testing applies comparisons repeatedly. What survives becomes truth for that community. The universe isn't built on absolute truths floating in a Platonic heaven. It's built on the possibility of distinction, the process of testing, comparison, the emergence of what endures, truth. Truth isn't the foundation. Truth is what emerges when the foundation is used with discipline. Truth as a contract. Here's a useful way to think about it. Truth is a contract you sign with reality. When you make a claim, you're implicitly saying, I agree that if certain comparisons are made, they will match this claim. The clearer you are about what comparisons count, under what conditions, what would count as failure, what uncertainty exists, the stronger your truth contract. Vague claims are like contracts with hidden clauses. They might sound impressive, but they're not trustworthy. Precise claims are like clear contracts. They tell you exactly what you're getting and what could break the agreement. The mature form of truth. After 100 meetings at 3 p.m., you call your friend trustworthy. But if one day they stop showing up, you don't say, truth is dead. You say, the pattern changed, or my trust was misplaced, or the scope was wrong. Maybe your friend was truthful when healthy. Then an illness changed their life. Truth in practice always has scope. So the mature form of truth includes conditions. When healthy, they show up. When traffic is normal, they arrive on time. When the road is open, the map is accurate. When these ingredients are fresh, the recipe works. Truth isn't weaker because it has conditions. Truth is stronger because it tells you exactly where it lives. What this means for you. This understanding changes how you navigate the world. When someone says, this is true, ask, what tests has it survived? Under what conditions? With what rigor? What acknowledged limits? What would make it fail? If they can't answer, they're not offering truth. They're offering theater. When you say, I believe this, ask yourself, what comparisons support it? Have I tested it against alternatives? Have I acknowledged where it might fail? What evidence would change my mind? In your relationships, replace I will always be there for you with I will do my best to be there, knowing I'm human and may sometimes fail. The second is more truthful and paradoxically more trustworthy. In your learning, replace I understand this completely with I understand this well enough to explain it, though I still have questions about. The second is more honest. and leaves room for growth. Truth is what survives tests. Carry this sentence like a tool in your pocket. Use it when you read a news headline, you hear a scientific claim, someone makes you a promise, you form a belief about yourself, you consider a fact about the world. Just ask, what tests has this survived? What comparisons? What scope? This single question will save you from countless errors. It will help you build knowledge that lasts, relationships that endure, a life grounded in what's reliable rather than what's merely comforting. The transition ahead. With this understanding, we're ready. Ready to move from the silent ground to the sounding world. Ready to see how specific truths emerge, how patterns stabilize, how measurements standardize, how laws become reliable. We've secured the crucial point. Truth is operational. It's what survives careful, honest, repeated comparison. And at the root, making comparison possible, is phi. Next, we step across the threshold, from possibility to actuality, from silent ground to public layer, from phi as pure comparability to phi beginning to speak reality. But for now, hold this. Truth isn't a mystery, it's a practice. The practice of careful comparison, repeated until something survives. And what survives? What endures the testing? That we call true. End of part 21. Memory hook. Truth is what survives tests. Prediction. Bounded claims endure, unlimited claims fail. Falsification. Unlimited claims producing more reliable knowledge than bounded ones. Truth emerges from licensed, rigorous comparison, not consensus. Peace be upon you.